If you love the Miami Dolphins, then all I need you to do is hit that sub button and turn on those notifications because there's going to be a lot of wild things that happen this entire offseason. I'm trying to continue to grow this YouTube channel as well as everyone here at Chat Sports is trying to grow it. Why? We always say the more subs equals more videos. So if you love the Dolphins and you like free vids, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at some Miami Dolphins salary cap cuts. Now, a lot of NFL teams are not as in a good of a situation as the Dolphins are in terms of salary cap. So a lot of times you'll see teams try to cut away certain guys. That way they can save more money. Therefore, go out and get new players. I still wanted to be able to do it for this team simply because they might still go out and get rid of some dudes. Now, they did just go out and hire a brand new head coach in Mike McDaniels. And in terms of salary cap space, they're sitting at $63.7 million, which, for those of you that don't know, is the most in the National Football League as it stands right now. In 2022 draft, they have the number 29 overall pick and 8 total draft picks as it stands right now. In terms of how much money that they actually have and how does that compare to around the NFL, with 63.7, it is the most. Then you got the Jags and the Bengals at 59, 58 million. I try to give you guys the median, which is the middle of the Houston Texans at about 18 million. And then at dead last is the New Orleans Saints with minus $76 million. In terms of where do they rank in the AFC East, the Dolphins have 67.7, the most. The Jets have the 5th most with 48.1. The New England Patriots, 8.2 million. That's 20th most. Then the Buffalo Bills at 24th most with minus 4.6 million. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead, look into that crystal ball, and try to predict a player that the Dolphins should go ahead and cut. I get it. A lot of the guys that you're going to see here on today's show, a lot of them don't make that much money compared to some other teams and shows that I've done this for. But let's just say Miami wants to go out and spend big with their brand new head coach. You might have to pinch together a few pennies, or you could just move on from a few guys because there's a big-time whale that you're trying to go out and get. So let me know down in the comments a player that the Dolphins should cut. The first name coming up here, and the way that I have these guys ranked is by how much money that they are going to make in 2022. DeVante Parker has an $8.74 million cap hit, and if he is cut this season, it's going to be $5.4 million, which saves the Dolphins $3.3 million. Now, you could wait, and I don't really consider this a salary cap cut because if you wait until after June 1st, well, that means also the draft ended up passing. But hypothetically speaking, the Dolphins could wait until after June 1st. Then they would save $6.04 million. DeVante, we know he's built like a true number one receiver. Heck, you saw his production in 2019. But this past season, 40 grabs for 515 yards and 2 touchdowns. The biggest problem with Parker has always been, can he stay healthy? Because when he's on the field, he's a damn good receiver. The issue is he's not on the field too often. In 2020, he had 63 grabs for 793 yards, which proved that he had a lot more chemistry with Ryan Fitzpatrick than he did Tua Tagovailoa. His brand new contract came in 2019 because of the year that he had, where he had 72 grabs, over 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. He looked like a top 10 receiver. He looked like the receiver that every single Dolphin fan was hoping for when he was drafted in the first round. But he was a bust before then, and since then he has absolutely not been worth the contract. So should the Dolphins move on from DeVante Parker? I know when you have a young quarterback like Tua, you want to try to surround him with as much talent as humanly possible. You have to face the facts, though. Can you honestly rely on DeVante Parker to play just 14, 15 games a year? I don't know if you can. So it's Y for yes, or it's N for no. My answer is this. You try to trade him first. Maybe there's got to be a team out there that looks at DeVante Parker and is like, you know what? We can turn this guy into be the number one receiver that he is supposed to be, and then they take on his contract. If you are unable to then move DeVante for I would honestly trade him for a 3rd, maybe a 4th round pick, then you do cut him. But you might want to go ahead and wait until after June 1st. That way you could save up on that extra money. Essentially, the whole thing is you would save about $6 million. So you try to trade him first. If you're unable to trade him, then you wait until June 1st, and then you try to cut him. DeVante Parker is probably going to be the biggest name on this list. I do have some other guys that are definitely going to grab your attention. But coming up next is defensive tackle Adam Butler. His cap hit in 2022 is $4.15 million. He doesn't have any dead cap hit, so if you decide to move on from him, you save $4.15 million. The fact that he only started one game last season is why I am putting him up on this list. I get it. You're still trying to figure out whether or not they're going to keep their defensive line or basically to keep their DC, but I also know that they brought in a new head coach, and even though Mike McDaniel is a hard-nosed guy and Butler is credited for being one of the harder-working dudes in the locker room, one game for $4.15 million. If you're looking to save a few dollars, it could be a route to go. He did have 17 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. One of the bigger players at 6'5", 295. He's a little bit undersized in terms of a nose tackle, but for the defense that would go 4-3 to 3-4 here and there, he was a pretty good versatile player. Over the past 5 seasons, he had one good year, at least one really good year in New England back in 2019, where he had 26 tackles, 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. I personally think Butler was a little bit more of a Brian Flores guy, and because Flores is no longer here, it's another reason why he's more than likely going to get cut. If you guys want to go ahead and bet on Super Bowl this season, you want to bet on Super Bowl next season, you want to bet on just crazy prop bets that they have, like, I don't know, heads or tails, Super Bowl MVP, you can go ahead and do it. Where? At chatsports.com/bet. You got to use promo code, though, Dolphins125. That gets you that 125% deposit bonus. So if you put down $100, you get $125 for free. Put down $200, get $250 for free. It's the best deal on the internet. And for those people out there that like to put extra money on games, we got you covered. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Dolphins125. Let's go to another wide receiver on the list. It's Allen Hurns. And some of you might be like, really? I don't even know Allen Hurns still on team. Well, it's because he hasn't played in 2 years. Hurns' 2022 cap hit is $3 million. The dead cap, if he's cut, is $433K. $433K is a lot to you. It's a lot to me. In the NFL terms, it's really nothing. You can save $2.6 million, and the fact that this dude hasn't played since 2019, and even when he played in 2019, y'all, he had 32 grabs for 416 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hurns is another prime example of a guy who had one good year. One good year led by Blake Bortles of all quarterbacks, and it led to a nice hefty payday. Now, the fact that I brought up DeVante Parker, the fact that I brought up Allen Hurns means, all right, Mitch, well, wide receiver is already one of the major needs for the Dolphins. Why are we moving on from these guys? The other reason why I'm moving on from them is because of the amount of talent that is at the draft class, the amount of talent that is in the free agency pool, and the amount of talent that you could even realistically go out and trade for is why I would sit up here and say, if you can save, let's just say, about $8 to $9 million by cutting Parker and by cutting Allen Hurns and going out and getting a solid receiver, I mean, why not at least go out and try to do it? The next guy coming up here is actually one of my favorite players on the Dolphins, but for the sense of this video, I tried to find guys who I thought are probably worth a little bit more than what they should be getting or what they could be getting in 2022, which is why I have running back Myles Gaskin of the Miami Dolphins. $2.56 million is his cap hit, and sure, 22,000 dead cap hit, that's nothing. You save only $2.54 million. The reason why I have Gaskins on here is because if I'm Mike McDaniel, I look at Gaskin, I'm like, he's a good depth running back, and he's somebody who I might be able to go to in a pinch. But if I'm also Mike McDaniel and I'm consider this running back guru, why not go out and try to get a back in the draft, try to go out and get a back in free agency, and you might even be able to go out and get both? That basically makes Gaskins not really worth it anymore. Now, he has stepped up, and for the 7th rounder, for you to get this type of production out of a 7th round pick, it's pretty solid. 173 carries, 612 yards, 3 touchdowns in 2021. He also had 3 touchdowns last season. But also what's really helped him kind of flourish in this role is his ability to be able to catch the football. I'm a believer that if you have a guy like Lynn Bowden Jr., if Will Fuller could have stayed healthy, if DeVante Parker could have stayed healthy, a lot of these less check down routes wouldn't go to Gaskin. So the hope is you can go ahead and bring back a running back. Like, if I'm being honest, if I could take that $2.54 million and give that to Duke Johnson instead, I know Duke Johnson is a free agent, but, I mean, does anybody think here that Duke Johnson didn't look better than Myles Gaskin? I personally think he did, and he went to the U. So I'm just trying to allocate some dollars and cents here if you are just trying to save a few dollars and cents. So type K for keep, type C for cut. Should the Dolphins keep or cut Gaskin? If your decision is to go in with Gaskin as a number 2 running back, I'm actually okay with keeping him. It's only 2.54. But if you're like, man, or trying to save as much money as humanly possible, then I can understand them moving on from him. The final player that I'm going to bring up here in my salary cap cut video is Calvin Munson. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, this was a really tough decision because after Gaskin, I was like, man, usually salary cap cut guys are in the 4, 5, and plus range. I just wanted to give you 5 names, so I decided to go Munson, who's only got a $1.2 million cap hit. And the reason why I'm moving on from him is because in today's NFL, you got to be able to cover, and you got to be able to be sideline to sideline, and I'm sorry, that's not who Munson is. He had a PFF coverage grade of 29. 29. Imagine coming home to your mom and dad with, hey, guys, I got a 29 on my math test. My mom and dad would be like, do you even know how high 29 is? I'd be like, you know what? Honestly, I do not know. But last season, for 11 tackles, that type of coverage grade, only 1 tackle for loss, and if I can save $1.2 million for a guy that simply does not play often with a brand new head coach, it's why I included him on the list. So here we go. This is going to round out the cap cut candidates. DeVante Parker, Adam Butler, Allen Hurns, Myles Gaskin, Calvin Munson. If you made it this far in the video, means we're doing something right around here. If there's somebody that I forgot, please do not be shy. Throw their name down in the comments because I promise y'all I'm going to be looking.